There's one stock that is about to skyrocket. This company is ASML. I'm not going to hold you hostage. That's the ticker. And they make manufacturing equipment that allows you to very finely produce wafers for chips. And they're the only company that is able to do it so finely. So they allowed NVIDIA GPUs to be made. NVIDIA uses their equipment. And they're also located in the Netherlands. So they allow the US and the EU to restrict sales of their equipment to China, which is extremely of national security importance. I don't know exactly why the Netherlands, well, I don't know why the US and the EU have control over the Netherlands that way, but I think they're pretty agreeable people. So the ticker is ASML, and let's jump into the chart for supply and demand and a little bit of recent news. This is not financial advice.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 So this is the connection to the big dogs, right? AMD chips are fabricated using their machinery. NVIDIA chips, well, GPUs that use chips are made using their equipment. And Apple uses, this is the special, billion-dollar acronym EUV. I don't know what it stands for, but that's apparently what they've got that no one else has got. So that's why Apple needs them. That's why NVIDIA needs them. That's why AMD needs them. And if you look at the chart, earnings are behind them, and the reaction's pretty good. And considering earnings reactions so far, I mean, there have been some reactions that have been relatively good. CRS comes to mind. GM. There's also been some reactions that have been not so good. LRN, for example. I mean, goodness gracious, FI. So I think Meta is kind of an anomaly in the Mag 7 due to that sort of tax hit that they responsibly took, I guess, this quarter. And we'll see Apple and Amazon tomorrow. Google with that crazy, awesome 100 billion revenue. So earnings season is kind of mixed, and that's different from Q2, where Google was actually one of the few that had a really solid reaction after Q2. If we look at some others, I can try to pull some up, but Apple, recovered, but initially not so hot. Meta Q2, one of the few that was good as well, kind of pulled back and then went sideways. And then, of course, if we really zoom out to the consumer companies, Spotify, not a great initial earnings reaction, and Netflix as well. These sort of are general indicators of the market as a whole, but Q3 earnings, Netflix, not good. But we're also having some positive reactions as well. So Google, Alphabet, whatever you want to call it, is basically the best one of the Mag 7. We do get Apple and Amazon tomorrow, but I do think that ASML is in the top. I mean, I've talked about 5 stocks so far just today that I think are great stocks to buy. So I'm looking at a lot of stocks, and I think these are the best. I do think that if you're going to look at these 5 stocks that I mentioned already Newegg, I mentioned CRDO today, I mentioned Alibaba today, I mentioned Bloom Energy today, and I mentioned TSM. The closest one to TSM is ASML. They actually, as we just talked about, their machinery is used by TSM to create Apple products. So It's not a surprise that the chart looks really similar to TSM. It's not a surprise it looks similar to, oh, not SHM, something similar to that. Not this robotics warehouse automation company, but whatever the semiconductor ETF is, it's looking solid. And we can see that in all the semiconductors, Intel, AMD as well. Even ARM is looking like it's going to break out at some point. You just kind of have to be careful of some of these earnings overhangs. So this is the company. That's a lot of market context we just sort of threw out there. And here is the connections to big companies, as well as why ASML is so investable. This is why. They're the only company in the world that produces these lithography systems at scale. Okay, so this is lithography is like how you put all the things on the chips without basically making the chips massive and unusably large. So I do think that we have to be careful still because we don't want to ignore, I mean, NVIDIA has earnings at the end of the month, but I think it's okay to look at some of these more established, like lower level companies instead of the, sexiest companies, right? So the IBM earnings reaction is an example of sort of a foundry type company, a manufacturing equipment type company that has had a huge earnings reaction so far. I mean, it looks pretty ugly initially, but came right back, similar to Tesla, ugly initially, came right back. So once you get over a key level, it gets pretty investable here. And as long as you're not talking about a biotech, these companies you can buy with pretty low risk, and they just sort of march up, even though they only move a few percent a day. So that is the selling point for these. And this is one, SMH. Did I not say SMH? I don't know what I said, but SMH, it's breaking out. It looks a lot like Mag 7. So I think this is super interesting. Yeah, I totally did SHM. And then if we look at Mag 7, it looks pretty similar as well. So you can't really buy these ETFs once they already break out, in my opinion, because then you start to get into sort of like a gold situation where it's like, okay, maybe, it forms another flag and breaks out. But at some point, they eventually come back to earth a little bit. So did talk about gold a couple weeks, week and a half ago, whenever I did, somewhere up in here. And initially I was wrong, right? It kept going up and then bam, it went down. So I'm wrong a lot, but sometimes when I mention a ticker like Dust or GLO, it is a good idea. So not here to toot my own horn because I'm terribly wrong. Here's a company that I mentioned last week. This is probably my worst stock idea ever. I said this was a good idea. I'm not going to talk about biotechs probably in the future because it's just too much risk. Because I don't know your guys' position sizes. This is not financial advice, and I make that clear, but still, the risk reward just might not be there. I mean, HIMS is another example where, you get caught in this and it's just a gap down on, this was actually not a phase trial. This was a legal situation. Well, not actually a full-blown legal situation, but sort of Novo Nordisk discovered that they, weren't representing their product in a way that they wanted to. I mean, but you don't want to jump in these slow-moving ones either. I mean, Novo Nordisk is just going down. Pfizer is moving, 1% a day. So it's a balance between risk reward, but this is kind of a nice balance. These semi companies, because they're the underbelly of the AI trade. You don't have to totally pick the top on an NVIDIA and chase something that is kind of unpredictable. I mean, I thought it was going to break out here. A lot of people thought it was going to break out here, and then it took another couple of weeks. So I think ASML is setting up super well. Higher, days over this. Earnings are behind us. Talked about its competitive advantage. Talked about basically how it's connected to all these big companies. And then talked about how they're in this other country, which is diplomatic enough, punching above its weight. So the U.S. really likes working with them because if there is a China scare or whatever, this company is sort of not going to fall into China's arms. So that's the idea. If you like these ideas, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe. And if you are a Stocks community member from stockscommunity.com, I'll see you in the Discord tomorrow morning. Not financial advice. Good luck.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.